Hi everyone, this is Celine from Blue Calla Patterns, and this is video 4 for the Aster Handbag video series. In this video we are going to sew up our lining shell, and the pieces that you're going to need for this video are your bottom lining piece, your 2 side panel pieces, 2 lining pieces cut from the body A pattern piece, 2 slip pocket pieces, which I covered in the first video, how you should have cut these pieces, your zipper pocket lining pieces, and these pieces are both 10 inches wide by 8 inches high. And then I had you cut an additional piece that's not in the pattern. This will be used as the zipper pocket facing, and it is 10 inches wide by 2.5 inches high, and it's also interfaced like all of these pieces. You'll also need your 8-inch zipper. Now the slip pocket pieces, they should actually look like this, and they should be 10 3/4 inches wide, and the total height is 12 inches. So you should have 2 pieces like this, and all you need to do is fold them in half horizontally, wrong sides together. So you'll have raw edges along the sides and bottom, and then your top folded edge. Now I'm going to take my 2 slip pocket pieces over to my machine, and I'm just going to add top stitching along the top folded edge, and then we'll sew our pockets to our body lining pieces. Okay, so both slip pocket pieces have a line of top stitching 1/8 of an inch down from the top folded edge. Now if your fabric has a directional print, just make sure that it's right side up, and place your slip pocket pieces with the raw edge aligned to the bottom edge of your body lining pieces, and then you will need to pin them in place or clip them in place. And then we're going to take these over to the machine, and we're just going to base stitch them in place for now, just along the sides and the bottom edge, and you'll do that for both pieces. Okay, so both body panels now have a slip pocket piece basted. To separate, we're going to separate this one very large pocket into 2 separate pockets, and all you do is fold this wrong sides together in half vertically, and then use a fabric pen, which I cannot find. Oh, here it is. Just mark the center of your pocket piece at the top and the bottom edge. Do the same for the second piece, then take it over to your machine and sew from your bottom mark all the way to the top mark, and make sure that you backstitch at the top to reinforce the opening of your pockets. Okay, so we now have 2 separate slip pockets for both panels. I'm going to set one aside, and I'm just going to keep one, and we're going to install the zipper pocket on this one lining panel. Take your zipper pocket facing piece, and you need to draw a rectangle on the wrong side that is 8 inches wide by 3/8 of an inch high. Now I'm going to use my template that I got from By Piera to draw my rectangle. Doesn't have to be precisely in the middle, but try to get it as close to the middle of the facing piece as you can. All right. So there's my rectangle. And I'm just going to place this rectangle, this zipper pocket facing piece, where the top edge is about 1 inch from the top edge of the body panel. So the top edge of the zipper pocket facing should be 1 inch below the top edge of your body panel, and you also want to center it and then pin it in place. I need to get my pin cushion. I just have my tiny little pins. Now make sure you're pinning your facing piece as straight as possible, otherwise you'll have a crooked zipper pocket. Okay, so now I'm going to take this over to my machine, and I'm going to follow the lines of my rectangle and sew through both the pocket facing piece and the body lining panel to attach them together, to sew them together. And keep your needle in the down position so that when you get to a corner, you just lift your presser foot and rotate the body panel, and it'll give you a nice, perfect rectangle shape. Okay, so I've sewn the rectangle box, and now the facing is attached to the lining. I'm just going to draw some cutting lines in the center of the rectangle. So I draw one line through the center, a horizontal line through the center almost all the way, and I stop about 1/2 inch from each end, and then I draw a diagonal line from that center line to each of the 4 corners of the rectangle box. Now you need to cut along those lines, and then grab a pair of really sharp scissors when you're cutting the diagonal lines. So first I have cut the horizontal line. Now I'm going to cut the diagonal lines using some very sharp scissors, and you want to cut as close as you can to the corners without cutting the stitching. And this will avoid those puckers that you can sometimes get at the corners when you're trying to make your rectangle opening for your zippers. Okay, so now I've cut the opening. What I'm going to do is set up my little ironing mat, and I'll show you how to press the facing towards the wrong side of the body panel. Okay, so now you're going to push the facing piece through the opening that you just cut towards the wrong side of your body panel. And then just dampen your fingers a bit and roll the seam around the opening and then press it in place. So go slowly, do a little bit at a time. Roll the seam and then press in place. It takes a little bit of time, but it's better if you just take your time and really try to get a nice rectangle opening, because it will make your zipper pocket look way more professional if you get it looking nice. Okay, and then flip it over and press it from this side as well. Okay. All right, so this is ready. I'm going to set this aside for a minute, and you're going to take your zipper pocket lining pieces, and you're going to press the bottom edge of each one 3/8 or 1/2 inch towards the wrong side, so wrong sides together. And you do that for both pieces. Okay, and then for one of the pieces, oh, I should have mentioned, whatever, if you have a directional print, you're going to want to fold the bottom edge, not the top edge. And then I'm just going to take one piece and I'm going to cut away the top 1 inch. You can throw that out. Okay, so I'll just take this away now. Now you'll take your zipper and the shorter zipper pocket piece, so the one that you just cut the 1 inch piece from the top, and you place your zipper right side facing up along the top cut edge, and your zipper pocket lining piece is also right side up. Just center it horizontally and then pin or clip it to the top edge. And then you're going to take this over to your machine and you're going to sew the zipper to the zipper pocket lining piece along this top edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go sew this in place, and then we'll attach the second piece to the other side of the zipper. Okay, so my zipper is now attached to the pocket lining piece, and I am going to press the lining piece away from my zipper. So here, now my zipper is wrong side facing up. Okay, so then I take my remaining zipper pocket lining piece and I do the same thing that I've just done, and I attach the edge of my zipper that has nothing attached to it. I place that along the top edge of my zipper pocket lining piece and I pin or clip it in place. And then I'm going to take this over to my machine and I'm going to once again sew the zipper to the second lining piece with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so the zipper is now attached to the second zipper pocket lining piece, and I'm just going to do the same and press it away from my zipper. Okay, so you should have, in this step, you should have your zipper pocket lining pieces that are wrong side facing up and your zipper is right side facing up. Then you're going to take your body piece that has the rectangle opening and you're going to place the zipper inside this rectangle opening, and your zipper pull should be on the left and your shorter zipper pocket lining piece is at the bottom. The longer one is at the top. Then we're just going to pin these together. If you prefer to use double-sided tape or glue to glue your zipper in place, you can go ahead and do that. I prefer pinning because I like to be able to adjust the position of the zipper inside the rectangle box as I'm sewing. Okay, so I'm going to take this over to my machine now, and I'm going to sew the zipper in place. I'm going to sew all the way around the rectangle opening with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and you're sewing through all of the layers. You're sewing through the zipper, the lining pieces, and the zipper pocket facing piece that's attached to your body panel. Okay, so I've sewn everything in place now. I can open and close my zipper. Flip your body panel so it is wrong side facing up and you're looking at the lining pieces of your zipper pocket. Take the top zipper pocket lining piece and fold it down so that the folded edges of both pieces meet at the bottom, and just clip them together. Okay, so you're going to see it's kind of bubbling a bit because this piece is longer than the bottom piece. And all I do is I take my iron and I just press upwards. And the reason why I do it this way is because your lining piece is pressed away from your zipper at the top edge of the zipper. Now I'm going to take this over to my machine and I'm going to sew the sides of the zipper pocket. So I'm going to move my camera and show you how I sew up the sides. Okay, so I'm now going to sew up the sides of my zipper pocket. When you're sewing up the sides of the zipper pocket, you don't want to sew the body panel. So you're going to be sewing away, you're going to be pulling the body panel away when you're sewing. So I usually just fold it over so that it's out of the way, and then you're going to start sewing at the bottom folded edges. You backstitch and then you sew up, and you want to sew as close as you can to where you have that little triangle of fabric that's at the far end of your rectangle opening. You want to sew as close as you can to the edge of the rectangle box without sewing the body panel, and then go up to the top and then backstitch again. I'm going to pull my pull out of the way. So there you go. I have the side sewn up and it's not attached. I didn't sew through the body panel. Now I'm going to sew up the second side before we continue. Okay, so both sides of the zipper pocket are now sewn. You should have an opening at the bottom of your zipper pocket. We're going to be using that opening to turn our bag. And before you forget, open up your zipper for your zipper pocket all the way and leave it open. I'm just going to take my mat out of the way now. And we're going to use the same steps that we followed when we attached the exterior body and side panels to our exterior bottom piece. So if you take your bottom piece and do exactly the same thing as you did for your exterior pieces, and you're going to make marks, but this time we want to take in a larger seam allowance for our lining so that it's not baggy inside our bag. So instead of making marks at 3/8 of an inch from each corner, you're going to make marks at 1/2 an inch from each corner. And do the same for all corners. Now I'm not going to repeat all of the steps to attach body panels and side panels to the bottom piece because we already covered that in the previous video. Okay, so there's our 1/2 inch marks at each corner. And all you're going to do is repeat exactly the same steps and attach your bottom edges of your body panels to the longer edges of your bottom piece. Clip sew from the 1/2 inch to the 1/2 inch mark, making sure to backstitch at the beginning of the end. Attach all 4 pieces, so you want your side panels attached to the shorter ends, and then when you're done, you're sewing up your sides. Okay, so I have my side panels and my body panels attached to the bottom lining piece. If you flip it over, it's the same as the exterior. You want a rectangle of stitching, except this time there's going to be 1/2 inch of space all the way around. Now I use 1/2 inch seam allowance for the lining, but if you prefer, you can use 5/8 of an inch. It's really up to you. Now we're going to do the same as the exterior and sew up the sides. Just going to line them and clip them together, and you need to sew these together, the sides together. So you can start at 1/2 inch seam allowance at the bottom corner, but as you're getting close to the top corner, you need to go back to your 3/8 of an inch seam allowance so that the top opening of your lining shell matches the top edge of your exterior shell. Okay, so the lining shell is now complete. I've sewn up all 4 sides. All you need to do now is trim your seam allowance to about 1/8 of an inch along all of the seams, and then we move on to the last video, video 5, where we'll attach our lining to our exterior shell and we'll sew up all of our straps.